Hey, hello, everybody. All right, we are back. Say hi in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me. Am I on the correct mic? Does it sound good? Does it look good? I literally just set everything up. Behind me is an absolute mess. Ignore what is going on behind me. That is completely not done. I just got the desk reset up in the new office. I got it to the bare minimum to be able to do this stream, and then I got to get back at it after the stream. So let me know if we're good, and we will continue on. All right, Alex says we are looking good. Justin says we're looking good. Is there any one thing that I've noticed in the past that I've had to adjust for, and I don't know if the settings are set or if they're not set, but is the audio and my mouth synced together? Because when you do 4K, there can be a little delay between the two, and then I have to set a delay on the mic input. Okay, everybody says it's good. I think that's what they're commenting on. Okay, all right, good. So what we're gonna do is we have, first of all, we have something to talk about. We have something to debate. I want to get your take on something. I haven't actually tested out doing it, but it seems like it's something we should do. But again, I want to get your take on it. And it has to do with the default posts functionality in WordPress. Then we will give a little Etch update. Somebody wanted to know how I would approach doing this thing that the BBC did with their blog post images, which we'll take a look at, maybe do a little bit of a demo. But I also I want to do I'm a week behind in work, okay? And so because of all the moving and all of that stuff. So I want to actually pull up the new Etch website and just see where it's at and see what's left to do before we can actually get it live. There's an important blog post that I want to publish on the Etch website, but I don't want to publish it until the new site is live. So I'm kind of like working with you. Like we have to get some things done. Okay, we have to make some things happen on this stream. Because I got to get caught up. So we're just going to do a little actual work maybe. And then we'll do Q&A and random stuff. Are you showing how to use CPT instead of ACF? That's something we're going to talk about. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we'll look at that maybe. Sylvia in the house, Pablo in the house, Jonathan in the house, Matt is in the house, Ruben and Dovber and Dahunzi and Kareem. Really good to see you guys. And everybody else as well. So let's get into it. I think I can screen share for this first conversation as it might help a little bit. Let's go. I want that up. I want this up. I don't need that. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and screen share. And I'm going to go to my local install here. And I need to go to WP admin, most likely. Okay, let's get these eCam windows out of the way that you guys can't even see. But they're in my way, so I got to move them. Okay, so here we are. If you're familiar with WordPress, if you've used it once in your life, which I think all of you have, you know that there's this default post. You start with posts, you start with pages. Now, let's contextualize this conversation with the understanding that this is from 2005. This hasn't, or 4, or 3. This has not changed since 2003, whenever WordPress was birthed, okay? And that was the blogging era, and that's all you were really expected to do in that era was blog, and you weren't really expected to do anything else. You certainly weren't expected to have this complex permalink architecture going on that we have in a lot of ways today. Also, to contextualize this even further, you guys know I'm not a fan of using pages. You should use pages for as little as possible. I think it is very confusing to beginners that that pages and posts don't have the same functionality. Pages lack a lot of functionality, which is over posts, which is another annoying thing. And maybe we'll extend this conversation even further. Should we disable posts and pages by default? Just say no. Opt out of them. And I'm going to talk about posts. We'll do pages to understand. But if you're thinking about content management, That's what WordPress is. It's a content management system, a CMS. And if you're going to manage your content properly, that tells me you're going to organize your content. And you're going to have a logical architecture for your content. And you want all of your content to theoretically, if it's like you can't even say page on a site. It's really a URL. Okay, there's a URL that takes you to a thing. And how that thing is displayed and all of that is what comes down in WordPress to posts and pages, but really does it need to? Like, there are different, like media. Media is a content type. Like, that is a type of content that we manage in a content management system. Now, media needs some special handling. It has to have, things that other URLs don't have. I'm saying URLs because I don't want to say posts and I don't want to say pages. I really think it's content. It's all content in a content management system. And the content either has a URL that gets you to that content on the front end, or it doesn't have a URL. And that's really what we should be talking about these days, is just content and managing content and the things that special types of content need. Now, if you think about media in the sense of WordPress custom post types, media is a custom post type. That's all it is. You go to media and here are your posts and it has custom fields inherent in the post type. And really, post type is dumb. The custom post type, like, we're using WordPress language, but again, this is all outdated language. It's just a content type. That's really what they should be called, content types. What type of content do you want to manage? I want to manage media content. Great. Here's a content type called media, and it has custom fields specific and inherent to the media content type. That's really the way that we should be thinking about this architecture. Posts are the same. You do need blog posts. Blog posts is a type of content, and it's going to get categorized. It's going to have a taxonomy attached to it, okay? But the problem with the default post content type is that it has inherent limitations in terms of the permalink architecture. So I like, and I think you should also like you should agree with me, that we should silo areas of the website. So for example, this is really good for analytics. It's really good for SEO. It's really good for a lot of reasons. That you should have, for example, if I have my Etch website, I go to etchwp.com/blog/this is a post, okay? And all of my posts are living under this silo called blog, okay? Are we following? This is good architecture. And then if you have services, okay, this is a service, right? And so, first of all of your analytics is siloed so that you can see, okay, what is the blog area of our website really doing for us? Very easy to isolate that in a scenario where you have proper architecture. If you have an architecture like this is post, okay? Very difficult to, at a glance, compartmentalize what are our blog posts doing for this website, because they're not siloed. They're just random floating URLs all over your website, okay? Makes life more difficult. You silo them. Now it's very easy to compartmentalize that area, analyze that area, manage that area, and so on and so forth. And by the way, this is better for the user, because when the user looks at a URL, they understand where they are, okay? If there is no silo, they have no idea where am I in this website. They have no idea. And by the way, crawlers also don't really have any idea. Crawlers understand websites better when things are siloed, like this. They know what's related to other things because they all share a similar part of the slug. Now, let's go back. How do you, I'm going to posts, okay? Here's hello world. I'm going to view. Okay, this isn't even permalinked up, all right? I'm going to go to settings, permalinks. Okay, it's set to plain. I'm going to set this to post name. We're going to save. These are the defaults that WordPress gives you. First of all, the fact that plain is the default, fired. Someone's got to get fired for that, okay? You got to get You don't belong here. You don't belong here anymore. All right. They haven't changed. How have you not changed this? Now, let's go back to posts and see what that did for us. So now I can see that it is, and it's very hard to see in DIA. Okay. But localhost 9000/hello world, no silo. How do I achieve a silo? Well, WordPress is from the dinosaur age, okay? So you go to settings and you go to permalinks, and you have to opt in to having this blog part of the slug attached to not just your posts, guys, not just your posts, to every custom content type that you create. So now when I create services, it's going to be /blog/services/something, but that's not part of the blog. This custom structure area right here, the way this is architected, nukes your architecture if you want to silo your posts. It just drops a nuke on your architecture. Now, every time you create a custom content type, a custom post type, you have to opt out of this slug. You have to strip this, what they call the front part of the slug, okay? That's not good. That's bad. That's really bad because people come behind you. They don't realize this is going on. They make a custom post type. Now it's got blog in the slug. It's ruined your blog architecture. Your blog silo is completely trash. Now you got posts that are in that silo that aren't supposed to be in that silo. This is just bad content management. It's bad content management architecture. Not good. So how do I get the slug the way that I want it to be? Well, I would have to disable this. And that is actually what I'm advocating for. I think we should disable this. I think we should opt out of this and say, okay, we're not in 2005. So I'm going to opt out of the 2005 architecture. And I'm actually going to create a custom post type called post. Now, I haven't done this yet. I haven't actually experimented with this yet. Maybe we could try to do it together. I need to find a way to disable this, and I need to see if I can add a new one and see if that has any inherent conflicts in the permalink structure. But I just fundamentally, are you following me? Like, I feel like we should disable this, because if I disabled it and I created my own post with custom post type posts, I would have access to adding that silo part of the slug without affecting any other post types, without affecting any other content types. That's the number one reason we can't use this. We can't use this because it requires me going and making a global permalink change. That is not cool. That is not cool. I should leave this on post name. I should disable posts. I should create a custom post type called posts, and I should manage the slug there. Okay? Or you follow me? If you disable that, how do writers write in Gutenberg? It won't matter. It won't matter. So I'm going to go into Etch for a second, because you can add simple custom post types in Etch now. This is alpha. Let's go to, it doesn't matter what we open, actually. I'm just going to go to the Content Hub, and I'm just going to go to custom post types, and I'll say this is Etch post. Now, if we disabled posts, we would just call this posts, okay? But we're gonna call this Etch posts, and the singular label is post, but that's not gonna allow me to do that. So I'm gonna do Etch posts, and Etch post like this, and then I'll just do Etch posts, and then public, and we don't need blog posts to be hierarchical, so we'll just hit save, and that's gonna create that custom post type, okay? Now, if I go back into WordPress, we will see them here. Now, the question was, if you disable that, how do writers write in Gutenberg? So imagine that this is just posts, and I go to add, here I am. I'm just here. This is the same experience. The same thing is going to happen. The only difference is I get to control that these posts now say /blog ahead of them. I get full control over that without having to manipulate my global website architecture in the permalinks area of WordPress. And now I can still add other custom post types where I don't have the problem of having to opt out of that blog slug. Okay. Okay, good. So Nomad says he agrees 100%. By the way, nice shirt. Yeah, it is the old logo, but Andrea had these made for WordCamp EU. And yeah, oh yeah, I do. Sakwa, I do. I'm gonna shave it very soon because I've been in moving mode. You guys are lucky I've showered for this stream. Okay, no, I haven't done anything for myself. It's all been moving. Okay, it's super easy to disable blog when you declare a custom post type. Use parameter with front. Yeah, you should not have to change. Here's the thing, Gladby. I understand that there are pathways to getting around it. The question is it proper architectural decisions to say, okay, what we're going to do is going forward, all post types by default, even though we 100% know they don't belong in blog. They're all going to have blog, and then you have to opt out of it. Why are we doing that? That's a bad architectural decision. A good architectural decision says, we're going to make this thing called posts for blog posts, and we're going to have blog as the slug, and it's only going to affect those, and it's not going to affect any others. You don't have to opt out. What are we doing? So yeah, I understand these comments of like, Kevin, you can get around. Yes, everything in WordPress has a workaround. I'm well aware. I'm asking the question, why are we doing things that you have to work around? Let's just turn that off. We don't need it. Let's just do it the right way. And then we don't have to worry about it. And everybody's happy, right? I don't like making, and this is why a lot of WordPress people hate me. I don't like making excuses for it. I don't like playing there's a workaround game. There's a filter game. There's a hook game. There's just go make a commit on your own. There's all these excuses. It's like all these excuses are designed to cover up the fact that really bad architecture exists here. And we shouldn't have to work around it. We shouldn't have to live with it. We should just fix it. We should just stop making excuses and we should fix it. That's what we should do. All right. How will affect WooCommerce products categories? It shouldn't affect them at all. I wouldn't imagine that it would affect them at all because WooCommerce products are a custom post type. And they are separate. All of that should live separate. Okay, I do need an Etch hat. It's on the way. All the new branding is pretty much finalized. Now we're starting to get the merch going. So just stay tuned. It's coming. What does the hierarchical post type give? That just means you can nest. You can have a parent-child relationship. So a post can have a child post essentially. And sometimes you need that. You never need that on blog posts, I don't think, unless you're doing something super fancy with like chapter-based posts, maybe, or I don't know. But yeah, I would call it articles or news. I mean, that's fine. You could call it articles or news. I think people still look for blog. It's familiar. It's what people look for. It still is relevant, but yeah, it's up to you. Okay. Yeah, totally agree. Just fix it. I think so. Okay. And then, so let's continue on. Pages. What on earth are we doing with pages? You don't need pages. We don't need that. That is a custom content type that just has a lot of limitations. It was like, hey, here's a custom post type for you that we're going to call pages. Sorry, let me go to them. We're going to call these pages. And you ask the question, okay, does that behave like all the other content types? No. Okay, what can't I do? Well, you can't categorize them. Oh, that's kind of important sometimes. Like I want to be able to categorize sorry, you can't do that. Okay. Well, is there a downside to being able to categorize? No, there's no downside. Well, why can't I do it then? Well, we just decided you couldn't do it. So they have this native, again, just think of everything as custom content types. They have this native custom content type called pages where they limited you in what you can do with them for essentially no reason. We should just get rid of them. And pages in WordPress, I've talked about this before, is essentially a junk drawer. It's where people I don't know where it's supposed to go. Well, let's just put it in pages. Well, everything's a page. Just put it, in the worst websites, everything is a page. They don't even use custom post types. They don't use custom post types at all. Everything is a page. Absolute chaos. Complete lack of scalability, maintainability. the website is static at that point because you know they're not looping properly. You're not looping properly when you're not siloing the content, because looping at that point is an absolute travesty. It's a disaster. It's terrible. So you just know when you open a website and you see everything is in pages and there's no custom post types and things aren't siloed properly, you just know this is a disaster. It's just, this has not been architected properly. And if you are the kind of person that you do that, you use pages as a junk drawer, you don't use custom posts, okay, it's okay. We're not going to put you in prison, okay? But you should go watch some videos, okay? On this channel, there's plenty of them, on custom post types and creating a proper architecture, okay? Let's see. Add question to your, okay, yes. Yeah, if you want to ask questions, then hashtag Q. But you can add categories to pages, Kevin. Okay, let's go try that. I don't see it. I'm not seeing it. I don't see it. Now, if I go to posts, I can go here and, oh, no, look, there they are. There they are. Now, what Toby is going to say is, Kevin, there's a workaround. Kevin, there's a plugin. Kevin, guys, again, let me reiterate. Stop making excuses. And again, let's just talk about adoption of WordPress. Let's talk about convincing Webflow people to come to WordPress. Let's talk about convincing Wix and Squarespace people to come to WordPress. We all want WordPress to win, right? Okay, here's how you get WordPress to win. You make the content management system logical, powerful, and sensical by default. That's what you do. You don't have this architectural travesty and then make a bunch of excuses for it. And go, well, there's a filter. Well, there's a hook. Well, there's a plugin. Well, there's a... Nobody wants to mess with that. Nobody coming in, introducing them to this ecosystem wants all that baggage and drama and chaos in their life. Nobody wants that. You know what they want? They want to go, oh, you got this thing called content types. Ooh, I can make any content type I want. Oh, I can attach custom fields to it. That's fantastic. Oh, I can control the slug of the content type. That's what they want. They want logic. They want sensibility. They want it to make sense, okay? Right now, when they come in and they try to learn this, you go, well, I mean, you can make these custom content types, okay, for sure. But then they're like, well, what's posts? Well, that's a custom content type that allows you to have your blog post. Well, can I put a blog slug in it? Well, well, about that, you know? Yeah, but what you got to do then is you got to opt out every other content type from having that part of the slug. Okay, well, all right, we'll get to that later. What's this thing called pages? Well, that's a custom content type that it's got some limitations. Well, can I taxonomize it? About that, okay? You see this? How are you going to get adoption this way? You're not going to get adoption this way. This is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous thing, okay? So please just stop making excuses for it. Right? See, this is the problem. Toby, this is the problem. This is the problem. You can't sit every user down and hold their hand and go, that thing that's really obvious that you want to do, it just has to be enabled over here with this custom hook or this add-on or this whatever. They don't have time for that. They don't have patience for that. They shouldn't have patience for that. We should demand better. Nobody should be playing this game. It's a ridiculous game. It's a ridiculous game. Just make the architecture make sense. I don't know why we're obsessed with making all of these excuses. Okay? It's ridiculous. Okay, it's not an excuse. That is how WP works. So you're saying now all ecosystems make things work the Etch way. Okay, I don't know what we're not computing. Guys, it's how WordPress works because it was architected in 2005 and it hasn't been fixed. They've had 20 years to get with the times, to make it work a different way, a way that makes more sense. Okay, when you make decisions back then, and then along the way you realize, not a great decision, What do you do? Do you make a bunch of excuses? Do you say, well, that's just how it works? Or do you fix it? Do you want to be relevant in the future, or do you not want to be relevant in the future? These are the questions, okay? We've got to stop making excuses. Let's see. Yeah, when it's easier to create your data structure in Airtable than in native WordPress, there's a problem. Exactly. I mean, this is, and it's not hard to fix. It's not hard to fix. It's a fixable thing, but we can't fix it if we just keep making excuses for it. That's the thing. So I'm on board with, I think we should get rid of pages. I think we should get rid of posts. I think you could keep media, whatever. That's fine. I think that everything else from that point, and let's say legal policy pages or whatever, okay? So you have, I want to create policy pages. Where do I put those? Well, make a custom content type called policies, and you can have /policies, and every policy goes in there. And now you have this new silo called policies where you have all your policy pages. So those don't have to be in pages. What else would there be? Like, give me some ideas. Give me some objections. Well, Kevin, where would you put this page? Where would you put that page, right? I bet you it's siloable. There's a silo you can put it in with a custom content type. And then all of your custom content types are the same. They can accept custom fields. They can accept permalink changes. They can accept taxonomies. Everything behaves the same way. They can be related to each other if necessary. They can be looped. Everything is great, right? It's proper content architecture. That's what I think we should do. Okay. I believe people will continue to need to install other plugins. No. What other plugins rely on posts? The only thing I think that they would rely on is pages, and that's like e-commerce, where they create checkout pages and all this. What they do is they auto create a bunch of pages in this junk drawer that I didn't even want those there. I didn't even want those there, right? But again, and you have to understand also, I think this should be fixed from a automatic standpoint, okay? I'm advocating that they actually fix the architecture, but I'm also advocating that we could just work around the architecture for now. If you want to leave pages, leave pages. I'm not saying this is what Etch is going to do. I'm saying I think this is what we should do as users when we are using WordPress. Like, what is the best practice approach to using WordPress for a content management system? Step 1, deactivate posts. Step 2, deactivate pages. Make everything a custom post type. Now you have a good architecture. That's what you should do. I'm not saying that's what Etch is going to do. I'm saying that's what we should do as users, okay? And that's how we should treat it and how we should look at it. And we should stop making excuses for why this mess is the way it is. And we should implement our own essential workaround, okay? Those typically have no custom slug. Right, but they could, right? They could, for sure. They could. It might be better if they did. There's a lot of benefits to a silo. And if it needs a generic silo, if you want a junk drawer, it doesn't stop you from having a junk drawer. You can absolutely still have a junk drawer, right? It's fine. And you could actually even opt out of the slug that comes with the custom post type. You can always do that. So it doesn't create any limitations. You can still do things that way, but you're not forced to do them that way. See, with pages, you're forced to do them that way, essentially. But why should pages have taxonomies by default? You've never wanted to categorize anything that's sitting in pages? It's a common thing. It's a common thing. You have to understand, you have to learn to think from an architectural standpoint. You can't think of well, why would you want to do that? Guys, fucking 43% of the internet is powered by this thing. Somebody wants to do it. Somebody wants to do it. The question isn't, well, why would you ever want to do that? The question is, why aren't we letting people do that? What is the downside to every content type being capable of having taxonomies? What is the downside of that? The answer is, Kevin, none. There's none. Well, why do we have this inherent limitation? I'll give you the answer, Toby. It's because it was architected in 2005. You're falling back to, Oh, it was architected in 2005. It's fantastic. Like it's 2025. And then when somebody's like, I want to be able to do this like I can do with every other piece of content, you're like, why would anybody want to do that? That you can't be a developer thinking like that. That's not good architectural thinking. Good architectural thinking is, what is the downside to letting people taxonomize a content type called pages? None, zero, nada. So let them do it. Why would you bake in an inherent limitation that stops people from doing something that people obviously may want to do when this thing powers 43% of the internet? It's just, again, you have to remove yourself. But I don't know. There's an addiction to making excuses for WordPress architectural problems. There is people have an addiction to it. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know what it is, but they have an addiction to it. And again, you'll see like why not fix it, and they can't give an actual reason. They'll just tell you, well, this is how WordPress works, Kevin. Just accept the way that WordPress works, Kevin. Oh, there's a workaround for it, Kevin. There's a plugin for it, Kevin. There's a filter. There's a hook. There's a this. There's a that. They can't actually make a logical argument for why it works that way, because there isn't one. There isn't one. They just want you to accept it. They're like, just stop talking about why it sucks and implement some workarounds, install this or that or whatever. Or people shouldn't even want to do that. I've literally been told you shouldn't create custom post types. I have literally been by people who work at Automatic. You shouldn't be creating custom posts. That's what they tell me. These people have no idea what they're doing. No idea. Yeah, it's at some point you just have to write people off. When they say such a disqualifying statement like that, you just have to write them off. Like, okay, you're not a serious individual. You don't have a serious take on this thing called content management. It's absurd. Okay, let's move on. I feel like that rant was long enough. All right, so somebody wanted to let's do this. I'll go to Etch. Something I don't like about Dia. I'm not allowed to command click this into a new tab for some reason. I would really like to be able, I'm forced to overtake the tab I'm in to get to that thing. It was Andrew that Andrew gave me this link. Okay, BBC. Okay, he was asking blog post template. How would you approach this situation that they've got going on here, where essentially any image that gets embedded in a blog post, obviously it has this down here. It has this source. It has this kind of tape effect. It has this offset. It has this background. And then if you go down, there's another variation of it. And to me, it looks like they have two different variations. There's this variation and this variation. And they kind of repeat those, except then there's this there's a third variation. Now, they all use this color right here. And we can use this to talk about like color setup in ACSS as well. But you have this color that's used throughout all of these variations. But now we're back to this. So maybe there's three variations. No. Wait. Yes. Okay, this has attribution. And that has attribution too. What is the difference? Okay, there's no difference between them. Those are the same. Okay, so it looks like there's three different variations of this. And like, how would you approach that from a templating standpoint? Because obviously you have to insert the image in the block editor, and then you have to have a way to declare that you want this kind of situation to happen. And then you need a way to declare which of the three variants you would want. Yes. So there is the current way to do it. There is a component-based way to do it, most likely. If you had components that expose their props inside of Gutenberg, you could have one of these like post image components, and then you would have the three variations already mapped out. I kind of am wanting to explore that a little bit, how that would be approached. Now, we don't have the exposed props quite yet. They're coming in Etch. No builder has them, so that's okay. We'll be the first ones to do it. But I kind of maybe want to explore how this would work with component variations. And then you would be able to visualize how they would get passed into the block editor. That's probably the way that we would do that. Now, you could do this without a component. You could do this just with classes in the block editor. I guess I should use my local install for this. We'll do local. I don't know what's on this local. I don't know. I'm also just on an active development branch, so I don't even know what like is in this version of Etch. But we'll just see what we can do. We'll see how far we can get. But I just want to demonstrate, if you go to a post and you were to put a image in here. I don't even know if this version of ACSS has the Gutenberg hooks in it. We'll find that out as well. Media library, and let's just put this in right here. Okay, so we've got this image, and you're able to put in classes right here. Can you guys see this? Oh, I'm covering it up. Let's move that a little bit. Okay, so you can put classes on things. So you put classes on here. The class could control the style. You could have you could do like a image taped image, something like this. You would have to find a good name for it, right? You could like taped image and then taped image double dash, and then you would have like a variance. Okay, you could have like 1, 2, 3. You could do taped image alt, taped image plain. Okay, like if I went back to here, this would be like taped image right here, and then this would be the alt version, or maybe the hold on, where'd the other one go? There it is, right here. This would be the plain version. Now, I guess you can't even call it taped because this one doesn't even have the tape effect on it. Okay, you could do featured. No, it's not even a featured image. I wouldn't even call that a featured image. Why don't I let you guys name it? What would you name it? What would you name it? Because then I could say double dash taped and then double dash taped alt, something like that. But what would you call the main thing, right? You could call it a post image, but that feels very generic to me, and it very could well already be used somewhere, even by like WordPress. I don't know. So that seems a little bit dangerous. It's not a mugshot because what's in the actual content of the post doesn't matter at all. We're just doing an effect on an image. Those are images on that post, though. I don't know what that means. Blog shot. I don't know. Doesn't seem like a great name. How about framed? Framed image? Because this is a frame, kind of like framed image, and then I could do framed image taped, frame image taped, taped alt. Could be an option. Could be an option. Let's explore how we would do this in Etch. I'm just going to go to make a page, and I'm going to just do a component on the page just to experiment, okay? This will cover the CSS because I think there was people like, okay, how would you do the CSS? And then I'll explain how we can do this without components as well. So we'll do framed image exploration. All right, publish, edit with Etch, okay? And then we'll just go in and we will do this. So on this section, we'll say sample blog post, okay? And then I can actually go content width of 60 characters, something like this. And that's going to make the content width of all of these containers very narrow, kind of like we were just doing in the BBC. Actually wouldn't do this in real life. I would use content grid. That would be the best, because then you can actually use content feature max to actually break them out of this kind of zone. But you know, that's for a different time and a different place. Let's do a div, and inside of that div, we will do an image, because this, we actually want this to be like the figure. And essentially what we would do, again, is this would show up in Gutenberg. You could add it to any blog post because it will be in a, if you don't know Etch, when you create a component, it now creates it as a synced pattern in Gutenberg, which actually is compatible with the synced pattern library in Gutenberg, which means that when you're writing a blog post, you can simply go to the synced patterns, add what this component will be called, okay, which will be a framed image, okay? And you can add that component and then it'll expose the props and the variants, and you can just choose the variant you want and you pop in the actual media and then you move on with your life. It'll all be done for you. You'll kind of see how this works in just a second. So we have framed image, and this will be we'll do frame media, because theoretically you could do this with a chart or a graph or a video even. It doesn't have to necessarily be an image, so we'll say framed media. I'll make this bigger, because we just need this little space to work in right here. Okay, am I covering up anything? I think I can move myself back. I think we'll be safe. Okay, so we have frame media and we have media. Now this is, let's just use a real image here. When you use an SVG, the SVG dimensions don't behave the same as actual image dimensions, so that placeholder SVG, I usually say to replace that as quickly as possible. Okay, so we have a figure and we have media. And now what we want to do is we want to probably just create our component, okay? And that's going to make it called framed media. And then we can have our props over here. And we have a new prop, actually, that would probably do really well for this, the select prop, which allows you to select the style, okay? So we can literally call this style. And we could say framed, okay? We could say framed, taped alt, okay? I actually don't know. This is an experiment. I don't know how the parentheses are going to be handled here. And if you see here, it says you can have a label and a value. And then I think, you know, if the value and the label are the same, if you don't declare like having both. Taped alt, didn't I say like plain? Should plain be first? Plain. So you have plain, taped, tape, alt. So those are the three styles that we said that they would have. And this is very interesting. Like I have to get my brain back into like, even if you just take a week off from dev, like there's a transition to get your brain back and engaged in how you want to do this stuff. Okay. So I think what we can do is we will create a data attribute on this framed media right here. And I will say that this is going to be data media style equals, and then we'll just put in props.style, right? And essentially what this will do is it'll pass one of these styles into here. And I want to see how this taped alt behaves. And then we can also take a look at how you might handle this. I actually don't know. I honestly don't know. So we'll do data media style equals props.style. We'll add that, okay? And we'll save this. And let's just start there, okay? So here's plain, taped, and taped alt. So when you're adding a component, one of these media components, you'll essentially have this little drop down now where you can choose the style you want. I'm going to try taped, and we're going to save, and we're going to go to the front end, and we're going to see what that does. All right, let's pull this up. And we see data media style equals taped, okay? And then if I do taped alt, boom, I'll slow down a little bit too so we can make sure we don't lose anybody. But now when I refresh, you have figure data media style equals taped alt, like that, all right? Now, I was thinking about plain. We actually need like none because we need a fourth option, okay? So I'm gonna go edit component, and we're gonna add a fourth option. And I can just say, plain, we'll say framed and taped. This is going to be interesting to explore label versus value. Label versus value. Because what you want to show to the user of what their options are is not necessarily what you want to output in the code, okay? Because of situations like this where you have ampersands or parentheses or whatever, okay? So framed and taped alt, like that. Now, if we go back, it's saying label comes first and then value, and you need a space. So this could be framed taped alt, and this would be framed taped, and this would be framed, and you got to have a space, framed, and this would be plain. And I can also have the difference between capitalization, lowercase, okay? Let's just see what that did. Let's see what that did. So let's exit this. We have taped alt, and we are going to refresh on the front end. I wonder if I have to select a different one for it to register, or we could just have a bug. I mean, that's always a possibility too. This one I'm seeing framed, okay? That lowercased it, so that's promising. Let's go framed and taped. Nope, we get it. Framed dash tape. And then on this one, we get framed and taped alt, okay? Save, refresh, framed, taped alt. So that's all working, okay? So this is nice. Now, what do we do with that? Well, we start styling based on that. So we're gonna have our options. And this is where nesting actually comes in very handy in CSS. So we're gonna go on here, and first of all, we need to BEM this, okay? So we're going to say, right click and create BEM classes. And that's pretty simple. So frame media, frame media. All right, frame media underscore media gives you the actual element, and then this is the parent right here. And I would recommend, because especially because the data attribute is on this parent, doing the styling from the parent. And so with nesting, you can do the ampersand, and then you're going to do these brackets is how you select a data attribute. And you're gonna say data media style. And then you could do equals, or you could just leave it like this. This would apply to any time this data media style attribute is present, something is going to happen. So for example, padding 1em, let's see if we can get something to happen. Background of, let's just say primary for right now. Let's just see if, I don't know. Okay, there's a preview discrepancy in, okay, maybe, hold on. Let me think about why this might be happening. Data media style, because I don't know if it's actually seeing that in the, oh, I know why. We're not previewing it. Okay. Well, if you preview it, all the problems go away. All right, so we're just previewing. All right, now we obviously don't want that to happen, because if we are looking at the source, oh, and actually here's a featured image where, you know, they have none of the boxing framing style or whatever. Oh, wait, no, this is the wrong site. Okay, here's that version, here's that version, here's this version. They actually all have the same padding. So the padding in them is a shared style, except for I can do data media style not. Let's try this. Data media style equals, and then let's do plain. So if it's equal to plain, okay, we're not gonna do this, but if it's any other media style, we're gonna add padding. And we're gonna add a background. And the background, I would say, if we were looking at this website, because people ask me how we manage colors, I'm gonna click on this up here, and I'm gonna go to page palette, and it's essentially gonna load the palette for this site. And okay, I don't know why they're using two, wow. I don't know why they're using two versions of this very close red together. Actually, look at this. Look at this. What are you doing? What are you doing? Look, these are one character off. What are you, why? What do you, stop this? That's unnecessary. Somebody's got to get fired for that. Okay? What are you doing? What are you doing? Let's just grab this. Like, come on. Like, just unify your colors. Ridiculous. It's not human perceptible. And they're probably like, well, the designer did that. Okay, it's not human perceptible. Stop it. All right, let's go into ACSS. Let's go to color palette, and let's just change this real quick, okay? So we'll just hijack that color. And I would do that cream as the base. So this cream color right here, I would do as my base. Let's go pick color, and let's just grab that. And you're gonna see that here as well. There's same color shows up there. So let's put that in as base while we're here. So we'll go primary, and then we'll go with our base, drop that in, and let's go ahead and hit save. Okay, pop that out, frame media, okay, and we'll say base, okay, not media style, plain, padding 1em, background bar base. Let's just save and let's exit. Okay, that's good. Now, we clearly don't have enough padding. I also wanna see how they, okay, no border radius on any images. You have to go no border radius. So let's take a look at how we're gonna do that. So edit, frame media, all right. I would say radius 0, because I know in ACSS it's gonna be using, if anything has a border radius, it's gonna be using the radius variable. So I'm just going to clear that to 0 on frame media, and it'll just nothing that tries to have a radius will have a radius. Okay, so essentially what we've done here, it's not able to compute this now because this doesn't actually have a value, right? It has a prop, and so we're only going to see it just because of the CSS. It's looking for it's trying to make this compute, and it's not able to because, well, the thing is true, right? Okay, so let's save, let's exit. So we have that. Let's just guess how much padding that is. I'm gonna say, and this is actually where you might want to use. Let's see how they've done responsiveness here. Like, what have they done? Does that change at all? It's got to, right? No, it does seem like it starts to change there. Just a little bit though. Not much. We'll use a space variable. Okay. So we'll go edit component and we will go padding and we'll just do like space L. Okay. Space L. Perfect. And then I'll just refresh. I think that's good. So what we'll be doing is we'll just kind of be looking at the front end since we're not able, we need to probably add some way to have a default here. Or I could just do it a different way with the CSS because it was working this way. Yeah, I'll just do that and I'll add the not in at the end when I'm done working. That'll make things easier. Okay, so I think space L will be good for right now. We need to figure out the plain is handled by the not statement in a minute. Okay, now we need to do our next style iteration, which would be framed. That's taken care of by this right here. Okay, so framed and taped. So let's do this. Data, media, style equals frame taped. And I would recommend putting an I at the end in case anything's ever capitalized or anything like that. This makes this case insensitive. So it won't care about the case. It'll match it anyway. So if it's framed and taped, we want to do a border of 5 pixels solid red. And then we're going to come down and do the next one. What you want to do is make sure you have it working and then you actually do the styling, right? So data, media, style equals, and then we're going to say framed, taped, alt, and then put our I. And then we're going to say border 5 pixel solid green. And that should be framed and taped alt. That should cover in 3 rules, should cover 1, 2, 3, 4 scenarios. If I'm correct, okay? So let's exit this. So there's our framed and taped alt is green. Framed and taped is red. Framed is just framed and plain, okay? Now, actually, if we go back and look at this variation, it's a gradient, right? So, well, we could call that split. So we might need another one. And I want to do this because I want to show you how easy it would be to pop in another one, okay? And this could be 6 months down the line. You might want to pop this in, okay? Framed and taped, and we'll say framed and taped alt. We'll say split, okay? And then I just come in and I say, all right, we're going to add another variant. Data, media, style equals, and then this is split, okay? And the background for this is a linear gradient of, let's go to top, red, blue, okay? Background linear gradient to top, red, blue. I think that should work. Frame media, okay, let's exit real quick. What do we get when we do that? There you go. Now, if we do a 50%, 50%, then we're going to get a hard edge. So we come in and we say red, 50%, blue, 50%, save. All right. And there you go. And obviously we just need the actual colors. So what are the actual colors? Let's go back. Bottom is primary and top is base. Okay. So the red is primary, blue is base. All right. So we'll go in here. Red is primary. Blue is base. Can't type today. All right. Bang, bang. Boom. Okay. So there's that variation. And I can now just cycle through. So we have framed and taped alt, split. And imagine, here's what you visualize in Gutenberg. The user Bev, who doesn't have she has no clue in the world, but you teach her, okay, Bev, here's what you want. You want an image? You add this component right here. It's called a synced pattern in Gutenberg. You add the blog post image or blog post media or whatever, pop that in, and then she gets these same drop downs right here. And all she does is she chooses the style that she wants. Now we'll continue on and we'll make the actual styles. I want to go to the chat, letting the beard ride. I see. Okay. And the images are not done with CSS, but in Photoshop. Well, I mean, Anja, did you expect them to do this correctly? Why does it sometimes sound like there is a nail gun going off in the background? I don't know. Robin, I'm not sure. I haven't noticed. Even the devs for BBC are chumps. Okay, let's keep going. So what I want to do is let's try to get the tape effect going on. Okay, I think maybe what I can do temporarily, maybe I bet if you duplicate it, it'll use the second one. Let's see if I'm right. Framed, taped. Okay, there's a little cheat code for previewing what you're doing in the component when you don't have a default value. You can just declare it again with a static value, and then we're just going to remove this when we're done, essentially. Okay. Okay. Sweet. So now I can do framed, taped. All right. So framed and taped, which is all those styles are going to live under here. I can say, get the direct child that is an image. Well, actually, it should just be any. It could be any direct child, right? Border 5 pixel solid red. There you go. So now I'm affecting that child right there. And framed and taped. Let's go look at it. Framed and taped. It's this one. Framed and taped. So we need to bump that up. And now I'm seeing we need to help ourselves with our calculations. So we're just going to say media padding, space L. And then we're going to replace this with media padding, because now what I can do is I can say margin block start of media padding times -1, and we're going to get it to the top. And then I can also do media offset, and we'll do space M or something like that. And then I can add the media offset. Am I doing this correctly? Hold on. Media offset var space M, media padding plus media offset times -1. But why isn't the mathing? Am I being a dummy somewhere? Times order of operations. I shouldn't have to do this, but I'll try it anyway. Come on now. Oh, no, that's correct. Actually, I'm sorry. Yeah, with order of operations. Seems like, okay. Yeah, I was just being, look, I went to public school. This is a public school implementation of this. Now I'm going to do L as the offset. Let's take a look. Oh, no, it's much bigger, actually. There's that. That's not that much bigger. I'll do XL. Okay, there you go. So now we have our little offset. I'm also thinking that our padding maybe, space L times 1.1 autocalc. We'll just give a little bit more padding in there. Okay. Okay. L times 1.1. It's making micro adjustments here. That seems about right. Okay. Sweet. Let's refresh. So now we're getting to there. Let's take away the red border. We don't need that anymore in our life. So let's take away border 5 pixel solid red. And now what we want to do is we want to add a tape. Now, I have 2 different tape styles, which tells me I don't necessarily want to replicate the taped instructions over and over and over again. One thing I can maybe try to do is I can come down and do this, and I can say star equals And I think that's essentially like contains taped. And let's do before pseudo element. Content and width of, I don't know, 200 pixels. Height of 50 pixels. Background of red. Display of flex. Position of absolute. Oh, there's some tape. My lord. Okay. We're going to have to left that and top that. And then your framed media position relative. And it's going to stick there. And this is going to come in really handy, these offsets, because we're going to have to offset the tape position. Media offset, media padding. Actually, the offset should include the padding. Yeah, I think that that's correct. So if I do media offset, media padding, let's go get this calculation down here. Plus media, hold on, no, that's not right. No, this is right. This is right. This should really just be offset, I believe. Media offset, okay? And we should do everything in media offset. Usually I don't engineer this as I go. Like I just get it working and then I come back and refactor it, but I'm kind of refactoring it as I go, based on how I'm rethinking about this. Okay, so media padding plus, this will just be static value, space L, okay, times -1, and then we just need to get our order of operations in there somewhere. Okay, calc media padding plus space L times -1.1. There we go. Okay, now we have this thing called media offset that we can actually use on our tape. So like if our top for our tape was media offset, that's going to go to the top of the tape. And then we can, or the top of the media. And then look what happens when you do from bottom. If you times a negative by a negative, it's a positive, right? Somebody help me out. Isn't that how that works? Or maybe not. Again, I went to public school. This is the public school implementation of this. Times, no, this has got to be a percentage. It's got to go 100. If you want 100%, okay, that's going to be on the outside of the figure container. That's not what we want. Okay, we do want to come from the top. We do want to come from the top. Okay, var media offset, and then we can just minus. Now, okay, I'm seeing what I need is the height, the tape height. Tape height, yeah? Is that what we need? Chat, is that what we need, chat? Do we need the tape height? Minus var tape height. Tape height divided by 2. Don't we need the tape height divided by 2? Okay, let's look at this calculation. Media offset minus the tape height divided by 2, but that's a broken calc. Plus tape height divided by 2. Okay. Left, 50%. Translate. Minus 50%. 0. It's in the center. Oh, it's working. It's getting there. Background. Var. Primary. Trans. 50. Oh. 70, 80, 70. Save. Now what we need to do, holy smokes. Now what we need to do is we need to use a margin offset to account for whatever content might come above this, because if you put other shit above this, like this, womp, 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 womp. So what we're going to need to do is edit component. And we're going to come down to, we're going to come down to the taped. Okay. Now this only needs to apply if it's framed taped. This one. This is the only one where this needs to apply. Margin block start. Oh, wait, hold on. Thinking about this. Okay. Tape height. Here we go. Tape offset. It's what we need right here. Tape offset. Boom. I'm thinking about the other variation now. Tape offset. Because now when you have framed taped alt, you go tape offset 0. Okay. Maybe. Okay. Framed. Okay. It stripped out my preview. So framed. No, it didn't. No, it's using my data media style. That's correct. Taped alt. Okay, that one's see what's going to happen to the tape? Okay. Then when it's taped, it's going to go up here. I broke this. That's why. Margin block start of, we'll just do a 1M for now. 2M, 3M, 4M, like that, right? But obviously we want this to be a calculation. Okay. Media. Did anybody answer the question? Is negative times a negative a positive? Yeah? Is it? It fucking is. Okay. Public school for the win. My friends. Okay. So we did all that. We have the offset now, which is it's like nothing ever happened. It's like all this offset's not even happening. Okay. Now what we need to do is let's do a little preview of frame tape alt. This is what's going to happen with frame tape alt. We don't need a green border anymore because we're confident we're targeting the right thing. We've set the tape offset to 0, but it really doesn't need to be 0. It needs to be just tape height divided by 2, maybe. Tape height divided by 2. And then the image, the thing in here needs a margin block start of tape height divided by 2. Tape height divided by 2. AutoCalc. Margin block start calc var tape height divided by 2. That should be. Oh, that did move it. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. This needs to just be tape height now. Does that keep the same padding? Is that just a visual effect I'm seeing? Like, is that equal to this down here? I think it is. I just think it looks a little weird because of the tape offset. Okay, I go down here. This has some sort of blend mode on it as well. I'm looking at. This is what we're trying to create right here. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Yeah, you're going to need more anyway down here. So we're not going to make it perfect, but it's going to be close enough. Tape height divided by 1 point. I'm doing it on the wrong thing. Margin block start divided by 1 point. Oh, it's got to be on both anyway. Okay. Divided by 1.5. I'm messing up my calcs now. Calc var tape height divided by 1.5. Margin block start calc tape height divided by 1.5. 2. 1. 2. Okay. All right. I guess I'll stay like that for now. Okay. On my 14-inch laptop, I can't read the code on Kevin's screen. So I changed my laptop. I mean, a 14-inch laptop is a pretty small laptop. You know what I'm saying? I can zoom in a little bit, but I hate working zoomed in. It's kind of annoying. All right, let's just go see what we have so far. So we have framed and taped. Bang. Okay. We got to put our prop back. We have a static value in there right now. So we don't want a static value. We want props dot style. Okay. Save and exit. Now we have framed and taped. Drop that in. We have frame tape alt, which switches it to that. We have just framed. And then we have plain, which will work once we add our not statement back, which I think we can actually do. And then we have the split. I mean, look at this. And I'm mad you. So you construct this, you architect this, and now Bev can just, in her blog post, drop an image in and go, I want it split. I want it framed and taped. I want it framed and taped alt. I want it framed. I want it plain. Okay, let's make plain work. Plain will work, I think, when we just add our not statement back. So we were up here and we went data media style, not data media style equals plain. And so when it's not plain, it's going to get the padding in the background. But if it's plain, it's not going to get the padding in the background. Let's get out of here. And there's your plain. So now we have plain, framed. Then we have framed and taped. Then we have framed and taped alt. And then we have split. And split is, why is split not previewing on here? We lost something with split. What did we lose with split? How did that change the rule? Background base, not plain. Split, background linear gradient to top var primary base. Let's inspect. Inspect here. Data media style equals split. Data, hold on. No, not plain. Data media style, data not plain. Data media style equals split. I don't see any reason why taped, frame tape alt. I don't see any reason why that would it's a CSS issue somewhere. Padding, media padding. This is frame data media style, not data media style plain. Frame media. Does anybody see anything obvious? Gradient gets overwritten. By what? It wasn't getting overwritten before. This should be the more specific thing anyway. Let's just do this. Var media background with a fallback of base, and then change this to media background. And I'd move this instruction to here. I think can't fool me, Mr. CSS. Okay, we're good now. So there's plain, there's framed. There, let me drop this back down. There's framed and taped alt, split, and maybe you try one more thing. What is it? Mix blend mode. Would that be it? Let's go back to here and let's just preview one of them. Framed taped. Okay, so there's that. And then there's the tape style right here. Mix blend mode. Overlay. Oh, that's not going to work, is it? It could be one of those, though. CSS mix blend mode. Multiply. Luminosity. I don't think it's luminosity. Maybe multiply. But I don't want it to disappear in the white. That's probably it right there. That's probably that's what those guys did. Let's do like an 80% on there. That's a little sexier. That's a little sexier. Okay. Split, framed and taped, alt. Oh, anytime you put those static values in, you definitely got to remember to go replace. Okay. Props.style. Oh, I just typoed that. No, I didn't. Okay. I thought I did. All right, let's exit. There we go. Okay. All right. So whoever asked about the BBC thing. Now, again, we don't have props passing through to Gutenberg yet, but we will actually very soon. And so this will just work in Gutenberg, and it'll be a synced pattern in Gutenberg. So it's compatible with the sync pattern library. It's very easy to add into any blog post, and you'll just have a nice little drop down like that where you choose your style. So that should be nice. Any questions about that? And then we have 15 minutes. So I think we'll do Q&A. We'll do Q&A to finish up. If you have a question about that, make sure it's in #Q because that's where I'm going to be. And we'll be going through questions. Okay. Let me just look at chat real quick. Why does it seem way more complicated than Bricks? Because Bricks can't do any of the shit that I just did. At least it couldn't pre 2.0, and I still don't think it can. And I would say go try that in Bricks and then come back and report back. Bricks' component editor is a inception-based nightmare of a UX. And it won't auto-author this to blocks. It won't put it in the Gutenberg pattern library as a synced pattern, and it won't expose the props into Gutenberg. So, yeah. And it's actually not difficult. Okay, hold on. This is the other thing that gets me. It kills me. Was the CSS the difficult part? Because that has nothing to do with Etch. All right. CSS is complex. When you're going to be doing variations of a component with CSS, you're going to need to know CSS. Okay. Now we can expose actually, and I could have done it a different way. Also, let's keep that in mind, okay? So all of these things that I nested, I'm going to show you another thing you cannot do in Bricks, okay? That would have seemingly made this easier, okay? If I go to here and I add an attribute and I say data media style equals, and I say plain, okay? I can do add, right? And then that is going to be a style, okay, in our style system. Let me save this. Let me go exit, okay. Let me go into the style manager. I didn't do it right. Hold on, let me go back. I don't think I did it right. I've got to add brackets, okay. Let's go to add component here, okay. What did that add? Did that add anything? Flash, I just want to make sure I didn't break anything. I think we're still good. Okay. So you use curly braces like this. Okay. I think you still have to data media style, use all of that exactly as you normally would when writing CSS. Plain, add, save. Okay. Exit. And let's just go check. And there it is right there. Okay. Now you can go create a variant with that. You can see it. You can even use the style inputs and style it. You can't do that in Bricks. These selectors are not possible in Bricks. So one, you're saying, why does it seem harder than Bricks? Well, one is we have to separate, was it the CSS that seemed hard? Because you would have to do all that in Bricks too. Or was it the component stuff? But I don't think it was the component stuff because that part was not hard at all. I think you mean the CSS part. And again, I think you're talking from a place of you just don't know what you're talking about. Like, that's why I invited you, go do it in Bricks and tell me how easy it is. Because you probably wouldn't even be able to get it done. Pre 2.0, for sure, you wouldn't be able to get that done. Post 2.0, I haven't used, so I don't know. But I also know that a lot of the things we could have done to make it easier, you can't do in Bricks. So I just chose to do it that way because I like writing CSS and I like nesting my CSS. It's not required to do it that way. So if that seemed difficult, if you've never seen nesting before, you'd be like, oh, this is so complicated. What? But again, stop, pause, think about what you're commenting on. You're commenting on CSS. You're not commenting on the tool we're doing the work in. The tool we're doing the work in and the complexity of the CSS that I'm writing are two very different things. Those have nothing to do with each other. So you got to separate that out. What we're doing is complex. This is difficult. The JavaScript required for this. So I would say, look at what we're not doing. Look at all the complexity that isn't there because the tool is doing it for you. Go from scratch, create a component, create a synced pattern. You can't do this in Gutenberg. You would have to go create a custom block. So go fire up VS Code. Make sure your React skills are good. Make sure your PHP skills are good. Make sure your general JavaScript skills are good. Go read the documentation on how to integrate with sync pattern library with that custom block. Then create all the variations. And then, okay, we did that casually on a live stream. So all of that thing that's actually really complex was just made very easy by the tool. That's what you have to analyze. That's what you have to look at. Okay. That always gets me though, when people are like, this seems so hard. And it's usually when I'm writing a lot of complex CSS. And they go, this seems really hard than Elementor. Because you can't fucking do it in Elementor. You can't do it. Or you go to Elementor and you still have to write all that custom CSS. It's just in a really inconvenient place and a way more inconvenient way. So the people this is the comments, they don't know what they're looking at. They don't know what they're watching. They don't understand. They're not connecting the dots of what's being demonstrated. They don't know what is the tool versus what is web design. Okay. That's the other part of all of this. People are like, man, that looks like really hard what you're doing. Yeah. The thing I'm executing in web design is advanced and it is complex. It's made way easier by the tool. You've never seen this happen in the basic tools because the basic tools, this can't happen in them. So that's why you've never seen this level of complexity before. It's not possible in those tools. That's how you have to parse this. Okay. Let's go to hashtag Q. Okay. Can you show how to display a term name in a template, not in a loop or list in Etch? Right now, I think it has to be in a loop, in a child loop. But very soon you'll just be able to put in a dynamic data key and it'll pull a list of the categories. It's like we have to build in a shortcut essentially. Okay, what modern CMS open source that has what you think is an ideal content management architecture? I don't use any others and I don't explore any others because I'm not interested in leaving WordPress. I just want WordPress to be better. And I want, in making WordPress better, I want more people to adopt WordPress and I want more people to use WordPress. Little hint, okay? The 43% number that you hear all the time, 43%, WordPress is dominating. It's 43% of the internet. That's amazing. That's an old stat, okay? There's a lot of junk websites in there. There's a lot of websites of absolutely no consequence. There are certainly 43% of new websites being created or not being created with WordPress. And so if you got to a realistic number, it wouldn't be anywhere near 43%. And I would gather that it's probably on some semblance of a flatline or decline or growth has slowed tremendously. And I would like to not see that. I would like us to get to 43%, a legitimate 43%. I would like growth to be through the roof, a really nice, healthy growth curve. I would love to see the next generation, the current TikTokers and Instagrammers and everything else coming to WordPress. Hint, they're not. Okay, because it's not cool and it doesn't make sense and it's a dinosaur. And if you want to continue being relevant and you want to continue being competitive, you must continue innovating and you must fix architectural problems that exist rather than make excuses for them. And you need to update the UI and you need to do a lot of things that WordPress isn't doing. That kind of scares me. So I talk about it because I would like it to change and I would like these things to improve. Why? So that we're all better for it. Okay, so some people are like, I don't like Kevin's rant. So, well, what are you doing to fix WordPress, to get it to a better place? Nothing, a whole lot of nothing. That's what you're doing. And in the meantime, you're complaining about the people who are trying to push it to a better place. What you have to understand about Etch, Etch is literally a tool that Webflow people would look at and be like, I will switch from Webflow because of that tool right there. I will switch from Wix Studio or Wix or whatever we're doing because of that tool right there. When I looked at WordPress, that tool did not exist. Therefore, I chose Webflow. Therefore, I chose Framer. Therefore, I chose whatever. But that tool, I will switch because of that tool. And if they look at the issues with WordPress, man, the UI is outdated. Man, it's really hard to create custom post types and custom fields. Man, it's very disjointed. There's no unified workflow. Man, you don't have any code access. Man, I got to open VS Code and to get a custom block and a real sync pattern, I got to open VS Code and I got to go through React and I got to go through PHP and I got to go through all these other routes, or I have to install ACF blocks add-on, which is another third-party dependency. I'm not going to do all that. But with Etch, guess what? Code access, automatically authors to blocks, automatically authors to sync patterns. You don't have to have React. You don't have to know PHP. You don't have to do all of that nonsense. You don't have to use the WordPress outdated UI. You can manage your content from inside of the editor that you're currently in with a modern content management UI. I don't have to put up with the nonsense of WordPress anymore. I can actually work in WordPress the way I've always wanted to work. That's what Etch gives them. This is a tool that fixes WordPress. And people are going to sit around and, oh, I hate how Kevin complains. Well, I'm not just complaining. We're fixing it. We're in the process of fixing it. And fixing it in a way where people in other ecosystems actually would want to switch back to WordPress or to WordPress for the first time. Okay? No other builder environment can really say that because no other builder environment gives you code access. No other visual environment auto authors blocks or auto authors sync patterns. Or works with FSE or does anything that Etch does, right? So you got to add all these things together. All of these things are important. It paints a clear, singular picture of how Etch actually will change WordPress. Not just provide yet another tool for people to do visual development in that's just better than the others and more powerful than the others. It's literally a tool that can change the course of WordPress. And we hear that from people. That's not just me saying it. That's people from the outside looking at it going, okay, that changes the discussion around whether we should be using WordPress or not. Okay, let's see. What kind of autofill wrap does Etch have? I don't know what that means. You're going to have to clarify the question. I honestly have no idea what that is asking. If anybody else can gather what that is asking, I will try to answer. Will there be a commenting out in the code authoring space or some sort of notes? Yes, you will be able to comment code for sure. Are you planning on including AI? Yes. Where do you think the line should be drawn today between writing a custom theme to control design of a whole site and building layouts in Etch? Very, very good question, Andron. I don't know how to pronounce it. Let's just make this as crystal clear as we can make it. Themes as architecture, which is WordPress, are outdated, irrelevant, useless, and intensely problematic. You should never think, just stop using the word theme, stop caring about themes, stop building themes, stop using themes, stop installing themes, other than because we're working in WordPress's ecosystem, Etch has a theme. It is literally a bare bones. All it does is allows Etch to talk with the block editor and FSE. That's all it does. It doesn't do anything else. You install it, you forget it exists, you never touch it, you never look at it, you never do anything with it or to it. It just has to be there because of WordPress. But in general, themes are dead. There should be no theme ecosystem. And I'm not talking about this just because of Etch existing. I was saying this before Etch existed. When they came out with the concept of a block editor, it was immensely dumb to go the route of having a block theme library and block themes. Immensely dumb. Because what they did is they killed portability of patterns from one site to another. Because if one site is using X block theme and the other site is using Y block theme, their patterns are not compatible. And we live in an era of pattern shareability and pattern importability. You have to have portable patterns. And by the way, they also failed to architect proper CSS and JavaScript that lives with patterns. The only way to do that is with custom blocks. There you go, VS Code, React, you're not in your workflow anymore. You're in a completely different workflow. And it's not accessible to most people, okay? Look at how Etch unifies everything, including all websites on WordPress, right? You write everything to core. This is custom block. I just created a custom block. That's what I did. This is the idea of custom blocks using VS Code or ACF blocks or whatever, that is dead and gone. It's irrelevant now. With Etch, Etch creates custom blocks with everything you do. And they're core. They're not even proprietary. They're literally core. So there's no proprietary layer whatsoever, no React, no PHP, no nonsense. You don't even have to look at Gutenberg. It just does it. It just does it. And then because it's all core and because everything is self-contained, every Etch site can share components, patterns, templates, whatever, with any other Etch site. Because that's how the architecture of WordPress should have always been. Or really, okay, I get that you went this direction of theme-based architecture, but when you created the block editor, it didn't click in your mind that we don't need themes anymore, that you have a unified environment for, okay, we have this thing called blocks. We don't need themes. You need blocks sit on top of an architecture of rendering a page, and everybody can make blocks and everybody can share blocks, and blocks have self-contained CSS and JavaScript to make them style and work, and they can be used anywhere. That didn't occur to you? That was important? None of that occurred to them. None of it. The styling and the JavaScript being inside the pattern that we create, that's one thing that never occurred to them. And two, the idea that I might want to share a pattern with somebody else never occurred to them. The idea of having an ecosystem where everybody can sell pattern libraries and everything will work with everything, that never occurred to them. All of these obvious, very obvious things. And by the way, it's still, I've been yelling about it for years, and they still haven't perked up. And listen, I've said very plainly, the pattern library in Gutenberg, like if you go, okay, there's this pattern library. If you play the block theme game, the pattern library in WordPress is dead on arrival, dead in the water. It has so much limitation because of the way it was all architected, because they didn't think through how all of this should work big picture. Themes should be abandoned. The concept of block themes should be deleted. All there are is a framework for building and patterns and components and templates. That's it. You don't need theme-based architecture. And having theme-based architecture only introduces limitations and problems and everything else. And by the way, let's talk about adoption. I'm trying to get people to come from Webflow. I'm trying to get people to come from Wix. I'm trying to get people to come from Squarespace. You know what those people do? They go to the pattern library or the themes or the templates in Squarespace or Webflow or whatever, and they go, ooh, I like the way that looks. And they go, and there it is. You can't do that in WordPress, because when you're looking at themes, if Bev's going, I like that one, Bev doesn't realize she's actually choosing architecture, not just how it looks. And if she goes, I want that one, and she starts to build a site, and then she goes, I want that one over there instead, everything breaks. That's a disaster. Webflow, Squarespace, Wix, they have a unified framework for development, and then they have patterns and templates and components and everything else that just sits on top of it, and everything works with everything, and that's why people like it. And this is another area where there's these fucking gotchas with WordPress. Everything is a gotcha. Every channel, avenue, road you try to go down in WordPress, gotcha, right? Can I just, hey, I'm a Webflow guy. Can I just come in and choose one of the themes to put in? Gotcha. Can't do that. You got to know what is happening architecturally inside of that theme, because you're making some big decisions other than just how that looks and feels. Gotcha. Okay. Oh, you created a pattern library that works with this theme? I see these people releasing these block pattern libraries. Oh, I like those patterns. Can I take it to this block theme over here? Gotcha. Can't do it. Nope. Okay. I'm telling you, it's an absolute disaster. I got to go back to chat. I got to see what people are saying about this. It's an absolute disaster. It's an absolute disaster. So with Etch, look, none of that nonsense exists. There's no drama. You don't have to have any drama. No VS Code, no React, no PHP, no nonsense, no themes as architecture. Everything works with everything. You get the development environment you've always wanted. You get real components. Everything is authored to core Gutenberg. Everything is components, sync patterns, templates, template library, okay? Like, look, let me show you something, okay? I made this Etch post, right? Let's create a single Etch post template. Save. All right. And I can do stuff with it. It's going to put in the main automatically because that's what's in my index template. I don't know. Just drop some things in here. Okay. Save. And then I'm going to go back to WordPress. Okay. Leave here. Appearance, editor, patterns. No, it's not patterns. It's templates. Okay. All templates. Etch single. Here you go. Right here. Look at this. Okay. So I just created a template in Etch. Where is that template authored to? Where does it live? In FSC. In core WordPress, it's sitting right there. No VS Code, no PHP, no React, no nothing. Just save. There it is. Same thing with a hero section, with the card component, with a loop, with anything. Click, 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 click. There it is in core WordPress. There it is right there in core. And you never have to look at this nonsense. You never have to look at this nonsense. You know, when you go to pages, you go to the fact that you can't. Oh, we could do this all day. We could do this all day. 2025, it's 2025, and I can't control what columns I'm looking at here. And I can't put some, if I have custom fields, I can't make them show up here. And I can't edit them. I can't bulk add things right here. I can't even duplicate a damn page without an add-on. 2025, this looks like, I mean, it's just thing after thing after, and we wonder why, Kevin, why are people not flocking to WordPress? Well, I can't imagine. It's a mystery. It's a mystery why nobody would want to flock to this. Kevin, why are they all using Framer? Why are they all using Webflow? Huh, you got me. Who knows? Who should we ask? We should put a team together. Let's have a whole team come in and figure it out. No, it's obvious. It's been obvious. It's so obvious. Yeah, we're raising my blood pressure. Okay, I'm gonna have to jump off here. But does it have a progress bar widget? Yes. Okay. Yeah, if you like PHP, here's the thing. If you like PHP, you know what? Let's ask this question. Would you like PHP better when it's just PHP? Or when you're authoring PHP and the PHP is actually showing up in the canvas, right? Because again, it's having a unified visual development environment where you can click, click, click just to add things. By the way, how much PHP do you really like? You know, do you like writing loops from scratch, or do you just like clicking a button that says loop and then, you know, changing some PHP arguments and moving on with your life? That's where a visual environment comes in handy in terms of just pure raw efficiency and speed and getting the repetitive tasks out of the way, the non-fun aspects of PHP out of your way. But you can still author PHP, right? You can still author PHP. You can still author JavaScript. The only difference is you can actually make the PHP and JavaScript you're authoring live with the block you're working on and then port over to any other instance or any other website or any other person. And then it's obviously authoring itself to Gutenberg, and you don't have to do that process as well. Like the speed and efficiency that are going to come from this. Will Etch eventually have a layer for the WP admin? No, because you won't need it. You won't need it. Managing content should be done in the environment you're already working in. Nobody really works in WP admin. WP admin gets you to different areas of doing different kinds of work, okay? So if I want to manage my pages, I navigate to this area called pages, and then I can do my work in a very limited fashion. I can't even really manage pages the way I want. If I want to manage custom post types, I have to go to a different area that's not even WordPress, okay? It's an add-on, and I have to create custom post types, manage them there, whatever, in a different UI, in a completely different UI. Let's just simplify all of this. We have a project, and we want to work on the project. And every aspect of working on that project should be like, you know, right there, okay? And so if I'm in Etch, this is how these things happen. I'm going to do this. We're going to call this my about page. Okay, this happens all the time. Let me add a fresh section in here. Okay. All right, I'm going to go about page. All right. So I'm creating my about page. I do my hero, and now I'm getting to the part where I need to loop through my team. Okay, so I get down here. Let's just duplicate that and say my team, right? And we'll make this an H1 because it's the hero. Okay, so we have an H1. Here's my H2. That's my team. And what I want to do is I want to add another container, and I'm going to be looping through my team. But I go, I have nothing to loop through because I haven't created my team yet. I don't have a post type for my team. I don't have custom fields for my team. So how am I going to create the loop and the card when nothing can exist in those things? So what is the answer? Is the answer to, okay, well, I just stop everything I'm doing. Just stop, leave this area, go to a different area, that I did, it wasn't even core WordPress. I had to add it on. I had to know how to do that, first of all. I had to go choose a plugin, and then I had to read. I read 7 blog posts on ACF versus Metabox versus Crocoblock, okay? I watched 4 creator videos and waded through 19 affiliate links to finally make my decision for ACF, okay? That all happened. Let's not forget that happened too. So I got all that because it's not, why would you natively need to be able to create a new content type? I can't even imagine why that would happen. Let's leave that to the add-ons. So that's the caveat. That's the gotcha. You come from Webflow. What can you do in Webflow? You click add collection. Collection information. Done deal. Okay, let me loop through those. Webflow people, because Webflow makes sense because it has proper leadership, they see that and then they ask about, hey, Kevin, I'm going to come to WordPress. Can I create a custom post type? Well, gotcha. Everything is a gotcha in WordPress. Everything. Okay? Anyway, back to the task at hand. I don't have a team yet. So in Etch, do I need a whole WP admin for Etch? No, I just need to easily be able to get to the things I want to get to. Okay? So I go here and I go team, save. There's my team. Now I start creating my custom fields, assign them to my team, and then look, I hit save and I go, oh, I'm back. Like I never left. Now, what was I doing here? Looping through my team, creating my team card. You cannot discount or underestimate the intense level of speed and efficiency that a unified workflow brings. I want you to recognize, go in any other tool you want, and I want you to catalog in your brain every time they make you stop and leave and go somewhere else. And I want you to add all that. People start to feel like, God, it feels so heavy working on this website. It's so difficult. Kevin, the reason I don't do custom post types and custom fields is because it's just easier to do it as pages because I don't have to jump around so much. And yeah, okay, you're cutting corners because the architecture makes it hard. We unify the workflow. It's not hard anymore. It's not, how fast, you can't do it faster than I just showed you, okay? Other than with a Command K bar, which you'll be able to do at some point anyway. So you'll literally be able to go Command K and go CPT and then team and blah, 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 and it's gonna happen, okay? That's a possibility. That was Etch, by the way. So yeah, you can't calculate or fathom how fast this is all going to get, how efficient this is all going to get because of a simple concept of the workflow should be unified. Everything should happen in the thing you're working in. It shouldn't be all disjointed and go there for this, go there for that, go over here for this other thing. Just, I want it now. It needs to be right here. I'm working. Well, Kevin, that's not the thing you're trying to work on, right? You got to go to, no, I'm just working. That's just what work looks like, okay? We work and we need different things at different times. And they should just be there. They should just be there. Don't make me leave. Don't make me stop. Okay, good. Okay, so we should prove these points over and over and over and over again. Okay, we're going a little long today because we're making up for last week. How about integrating things like GSAP? Well, you can already do that, but there will probably be a UI for it. But since it has no ROI, it will be later in the priorities list. I add text to a page and adjust the width. Let's say 45 characters or width S. Now, because I adjusted the width, the text touches the edge of the screen on mobile. How do I ensure it doesn't? That's not true. You've done something wrong. So just to demonstrate here, we'll go in and we'll say lorem 40. Okay. All right. So there's a bunch of text. We'll just check it. Not touching the edge, not touching the edge. And now we're going to put something on it. Okay. So let's try text. I'm sorry. That was the wrong thing. We need width, L. Okay. So there's that. Still not touching the edge. The width of the text has nothing to do with whether there is a gutter or not. The gutter is padding on the section element, okay? So what I would say is you've probably maybe not used a section, first of all, for section content. Maybe you had a container outside, just in another container that's random, probably didn't have a gutter anyway. But I can't think of a scenario where you change... I add text to a page, adjust the width to, let's say, 45 characters. I can't imagine a scenario where you change the width of text and no longer have a gutter or the text touches the edge of the screen. The only time is if you forced an overflow where you had like my text and you did width like this. This could be problematic. This could be problematic. That's problematic. Why? Because this is wrong. This is wrong. Now, I'm not blaming you for doing it wrong. I will tell you who is at fault. Oxygen, Bricks, these builders. Because what they did, let's just go through this. This is so important. This kind of stuff is so... There are levels to this game where other tools, because people are going to say, oh, this tool versus this. I'm just telling you. These tools have created so many problems just by refusing to speak the language of web design. Bricks does this. Let's do, I wonder if this is even possible. Love it. Bricks does this. Now, they don't do it this egregiously. They do it on, I forgot exactly, maybe they do. I forgot exactly how they implement it. What this statement means essentially is everything. Everything on my site. Literally everything. Everything. Every div, every text, everything, okay? Automatically make it max width of 100%. And the reason they did this, which comes with a lot of problems, by the way. This is not problem-free. This comes with a lot of problems. I criticize this heavily criticize this, okay? But nobody cares what I think. So, but this is just fundamentally not good CSS, not good web design, okay? First of all, a div, okay? Things that are block level elements are 100% width by default. And you change their width, not by changing their width. You change their width like this. Why is it max width? Two reasons, two really important reasons. One, it's already width of 100%. So you're just saying, but I need its maximum to be this. And when you do maximum, you never have overflows, okay? See? Why? Because it's trying to be 100% on its own. I've told it you can only be maximum of width L. However, if the screen is smaller than width L, you're still just 100%. But if I do this, very simple, slight adjustment. If I do this, okay, and I don't have this rule, now it's not gonna do it because this rule is gonna protect, and I'm gonna tell you why this rule is here in just a second, okay? If I just do this, right? It's not going to overflow. Why? Because it's falling back on this rule right here. Now I'm going to delete this rule. Okay, let's go back and let's check it. Look at this. You are telling this item explicitly, I don't care What else is happening on the page? I need you to be with L. Regardless of anything else that's going on, you have to be with L. And so it's going to overflow because it's like, I wanted to shrink, but you told me I had to be with L. And so it's going to keep being with L forever till the end of time, even if it creates an overflow. Okay? So people who know web design fundamentals, who speak the language, know this is not safe to do. You never do this. You always do this because it's never a problem. You get the effect you want on desktop, and it's never a problem on mobile. This is an understanding that people who know web design have, okay? Now, why does Bricks, why did Oxygen, why these other builders make a global max width 100% rule? Because they knew they weren't designing their tool for people who know the language of web design or who want to learn the language of web design. They were designing their tool for people who don't know what they're doing. And they said, we know people are going to try to do this. So we're going to protect them from themselves by setting everything to max width 100%. And when people who know web design come along and they go, that's kind of problematic in a bunch of other ways, they go, we don't care, because more often is people who don't know what they're doing are going to break their sites by using width. And then I say, why don't you just teach them? Why don't they get the feedback of, oh, that broke, I shouldn't do it that way? Oh, well, then they probably won't use our tool if we do it that way. You know, they'll just have a broken website, they'll quit using our tool. They won't buy our tool, we'll go out of business, whatever. Right? You see how this stuff happens? Etch will never do this. It'll never say, well, we think users are going to break their site this way, so we're just going to stop speaking the language of web design, and we're going to put in a protection to protect everybody from themselves. And even though that has a lot of negative consequences, we don't care. We're just going to do this. You need to use a tool that speaks the language of web design, and you need to learn the language of web design if you're going to work in the web design industry. Do you need to know React? No. Do you need to know PHP? Not necessarily. Do you need to know JavaScript? Not necessarily. Do you need to know basic HTML and CSS? Yeah, you really do. You really, really, really do. And that's why we teach people, right? Free education. Very important. So yeah, this is probably what you did, and Etch did not save you. Etch let it break so that you could go, oh shit, that's broken. How do I really fix that? How do I not break my shit in the future, right? I will tell you one thing with the max width of 100%. Okay, let's do this. Let me show you something. Let's show you. Okay, I'm going to show you again how to create that selector, by the way, because you can't do this in Bricks. You can't do this in any other tool that I know of. We're going to just make a star selector like this. I did not mean to zoom in. Okay, let's go and let's do max width of 100%. You're now in a little bit of a conundrum because you can't go max width of width L. And if you needed a width of something else, you're now essentially overriding the global max width of 100%, which means that's not in place anymore. And so there are some times where you need to do a width and a max width together. Okay, so you might say a width of 1366 or a width of content width, right? And then say a max width of this and that. So you're trying to get like a range to happen, okay? This is no longer really possible without creating overflows because there's nothing telling it to be a max of 100% anymore. It's just gone. So you can't it took away an entire avenue to using these in combinations. Very, very, very problematic. This was something in automatic CSS, because automatic CSS, let me unpin this and bring this over here, allows you to go in, for example, and like all your H1s, you could set a max width of 40 characters, right? And so that'll just fix all your H1s. They'll never be more than 40 characters. They'll always look good, especially if you you turn on balance, so text wrap balance with your headings, right? So that would make all these, well, no, you can't do that. You can't do that because now you've overridden the 40 character max width in a scenario where people are trying to use width, and now you're breaking site. Now you're creating overflows. So this whole feature right here, you can't use in Bricks. It doesn't work. It can create overflows when you should not be getting an overflow. And that's because of the max width 100% rule. So it is not without problems. It has a lot of problems and shouldn't be done. It should not be a rule. It should not be a feature. And I'm going to delete it because it shouldn't be. Let me go back to Style Manager and delete. Okay, save. All right, let's go down. Did that make sense? I was talking about unit auto complete calc and var auto wrap, etc. Oh, okay. You were clarifying your question from earlier. When will WordPress buy Etch to replace Gutenberg? It's not to replace Gutenberg. What WordPress needs to do, seriously, this would turn WordPress around overnight, okay? WordPress is in a clusterfuck scenario with Gutenberg right now. They desperately want it to be a page builder. They desperately want it to compete with Wix and Squarespace. It'll never compete with Webflow. It's just not possible. But they think it will compete with Wix and Squarespace. And it is 10 years into development. And it is it's a dumpster fire. It's an absolute dumpster fire. And everything to make it work. I posted this the other day. Go on social media and look at any block editor tutorial. And like 90% of them are here's some workaround for how to get this to work in the block editor because you can't actually do web design. Every tutorial is like take this easy thing. Here's how you do it in this proprietary block editor thing because it's not intuitive. You wouldn't just know how to do this by looking at the blocks that are available and the controls that are. So I'm going to teach you how to get to this effect using this tool that makes it really convoluted and backwards, right? That's like 90% of the tutorials for the block editor. So it's literally just a decision. It's marketing. It's right now, the entire Gutenberg situation can be fixed with marketing. WordPress can choose to continue to claim that this thing is a page builder, and everybody will look at it in that context and go, that is a dumpster fire. Anybody that's not literally like involved and doesn't have a future in the block editor, because those people will lie to you right now. They will lie to your face. They will absolutely tell you it's so capable. It's so this. It's so that. They're fucking lying to you. They're lying to your face because they rely on it. They want it to be successful, and they literally think that if they repeat the lie enough, it'll at some point come true. Okay. I've had enough of those conversations to understand, and I know when I'm just being lied to my face. Like they will piss on you and tell you it's raining. That is 100%. Now, if they continue to say it is a page builder, people will look at it, grade it as such, and come to the rightful conclusion that it's a dumpster fire. Or they can literally just go, it's not a page builder. It is the most capable content editor in a visual environment, in any CMS available. And if we grade it in that light, all of a sudden, it actually is what they say it is. It is the most capable content editing experience. Okay? So like go to Ghost, go to whatever, okay? It's not, the content editing experience is not at the level of the block editor. This is a branding and a marketing issue. And if they keep trying to claim that it is a page builder, WordPress will suck. That will be the conclusion. If they say it's a content editor, a very powerful content editor, and a very capable content management system, WordPress is literally the number one thing you could choose. But they are playing this game of, no, it's really, guys, just don't believe your lying eyes. It is really a very capable page builder. It's not. It's not. And, and if they keep trying to say it is, the conclusion will continue to be that WordPress sucks. When literally instantly overnight, if they just called it a content editor, it'd be like, damn, WordPress, and they said, hey, use one of the third-party development tools for actually, if you want a visual editing experience, use one of the third-party tools because all of the magic is happening in the third-party tools. Of course, Etch would be the leader in that, but they should literally endorse by the way, the third-party page building ecosystem that made them wildly successful. As much as I shit on Elementor, Elementor is single-handedly probably responsible for saving WordPress. That's just a fact. So like, and they like to pretend that it's not, like the Automatic likes to pretend that that's not the case. Like gazillions of people would not use WordPress if Elementor didn't exist. And so, yeah, they should embrace that. They should say, here's a native content editor that is amazing. And then they should get these third-party builders to integrate with core blocks, of which Etch does. And overnight, you could sell WordPress as an extremely capable platform that's actually modern and fun to work with, because Etch is fun. Etch is modern. Etch is all the things that you want. And as much as we complain about architectural issues from 2005, WordPress is still very capable as a content management system. I don't even know if anybody's still here on this stream, honestly. I could just be talking to myself now. But I will do that too. All right, we should probably call it a day. If you're still alive and still here, drop something in the chat. I'm just catching up on chat. Nick, good to see you. Oh, is that whenever I use max width with L, it never works in bricks? Yes, that is why that never works in bricks. Max inline size and max width are essentially the same thing. Love when a tool gaslights its pro user base. Well, I mean, if we're on bricks, I think what people have to understand about bricks was not envisioned to be a pro tool. Bricks was envisioned to be much like breakdance. What it seems like is Bricks was a cleaner Elementor, so cleaner code output, but still as easy to use as Elementor. It did not have the advanced things that it has today came from two primary things. One, their biggest competitor, Oxygen, nobody really had heard of Bricks. Oxygen, got in a mental state, very depressed. Okay. And I'm just animating this for you. And walk down the street of the neighborhood and everybody, all these tools are looking out the window, why is Oxygen looking so depressed these days? And literally just walked over to Brix's front lawn and shot itself in the head right there on Brix's front lawn. And then Brix was like, oh, well, that's convenient. And everybody that used Oxygen was like, well, what do we go to? And actually it was a big discussion in the inner circle at the time, in the automatic CSS community at the time. And I looked at Zion. People were like, Kevin, you got to check this one out. I looked at this thing over here. I looked at this thing over here. I looked at Bricks. And I was like, well, I mean, none of them are Oxygen. Let's just be honest. None of them are Oxygen. But Bricks looks the most promising, especially if we can kind of steer its development in a better way. Because it had no, you could just turn off the class system. It was oh, people might not want that. Let's just turn that off. Well, come on, that's crazy. That's not a pro tool, okay? It didn't have a div. It didn't have hardly anything that it needed, right? Except for clean code output and a good architecture to work from. And we were it wasn't even ready for production at the time. And we were well, I mean, we got to go somewhere. We're not going to the block editor. Where are we going to go? And so we took a chance on it, and literally thousands, it was just overnight, boop, and not just anybody's, people who knew what they were doing, people from Oxygen, people from automatic CSS, people from the inner circle. And then they were if we're going to use this, there was just piles of feature requests. We got to have this. We got to have this. We got to have this. Then it starts getting implemented. Oh, now it's starting to become much more professional looking tool, right? This was an evolution. It wasn't there was a vision for WordPress really needs a professional visual development environment. That's not what happened. It was an Elementor clone with clean code, and it was still kind of designed for beginners, to be beginner friendly. And a whole bunch of advanced people just poured in the door because another tool committed suicide on its front lawn. And then they demanded all of these advanced features, and then voila, right? So there is no oh man, it was such a visionary thing. No, it just happened that way. It literally fell in everybody's lap, okay? And that's why you get rules like that with the 100% rule. But people have the story twisted you know? They act like this was envisioned the entire time. No. It was driven in this direction. So yeah. But the back to top took ages to get it right. Yeah. I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due. They said no to that back to top widget for fucking years. Like, they said no for so long to that. And then they finally caved and they were like, okay. We'll give you a back to top. I can pretty confidently say there will never be a back to top element in Etch. We will handle advanced and mission critical things. Yeah. If you, especially in the era of AI, if you can't manage a back to top button, okay, you might want to choose a different line of work. This Etch t-shirt is not available. There's new branding. There will be plenty of merch though. You didn't show auto calc var wraps and unit autofill stuff. Is it Etch or ACSS? It's Etch. I'll zoom in. So if you wanted to do width L, you just do this, and it literally says, I mean, you can click this right here, or you can hit tab, and it'll do it. And what I really like about this is you saw me do this earlier when I was doing calcs, but if you decide this needs to be a calc, you can just do the math, and then it will suggest wrapping it in a calc, and it will wrap it in the calc for you. So it's very nimble. There is a debouncing thing right now where if you do it real quick, if you're like real quick on the draw, it won't work. So you have we're going to fix the debouncing. But if you just pause for a second, it's fine. So you might run into that issue. But yeah, all the calc wrapping, var wrapping is all in there. It'll even, I think we need to do some extra parsing but if you do like width L plus width S or something and do a tab there, or a semicolon will do it as well. It'll auto wrap both vars and wrap them in a calc. But there are some parsing rules where I think width L plus width S times 1.1. The more complex these get, it sometimes has parsing issues, like it put the bracket in the wrong place. I can fix it like that, but sometimes that happens. We just got to fine tune the parsing syntax. One other thing that we did that's very cool is, so, in Sass, if you have something that's BEM, like I'll come out here, let's just BEM something real quick. And we do for sure have to get out of here. I'm just going to go heading, text, and link, right? And I say like my container, and then I BEM this, create BEM classes. And then, so this is my container text, my container link. So in vanilla CSS, you have to say my container link. And then you could say color of blue. And now it's blue, right? In Sass, you can just do this. And because in Sass you can do this, you can also do this in Etch, because we made the parsing. It's not Sass. Like we didn't put all of Sass in here, but we did make it behave like Sass. So you can do this, and you can do this. Okay, all of that works. You can even stem off of, let's see, my container. Let's do my container. What's like a dash? My container. Let's say for whatever reason you did my container button. I think this works. I actually haven't tested it, but it theoretically should work. But if you do my container dash button like that, and then go background of red, there you go. So that works as well. So you can stem off of this ampersand. Hovers are very easy. Go into Bricks and try to do hover styles and shit. It's a fucking nightmare. It's very easy in here, very, very easy to do hovers. Pseudo elements, go try to do before and afters. Even if you don't want to nest, look at this. You can't do this in Bricks. You want to see what you can't do in Bricks? My container, I want to do a before pseudo element, okay? My container before, right? There, I just manufactured a pseudo element in the selector system, right? That I can manage globally. I can globally manage these selectors. Let's go top 0, left 0. Okay, and you have to say like, okay, you can't do this in this tool. You can't do this in this tool. You can't do this in this tool. It's 7 months. By the time we get to 3 years, there's going to be 300 things you can do in Etch that you can't do in any other tool. Let's go to display flex and do a width of 50% and a height of 200 pixels and a background of green, which by the way, let me show you. Why is it important that you can create this little pill? I'll show you, okay? Because if you're the kind of person who likes style panels, you can use the style panel now, right? With this pseudo element, okay? See how it's writing the CSS for me right here? You can now, like, I don't have to write CSS to create a pseudo element because I created a pill for it. I can now use my style panels. I don't personally like using style panels all that much, so I turn them off. But if you do use style panels, this is how you do befores and afters and hovers and all that stuff. Like the hover I did. Let's do, I don't think I even need brackets. My container hover. Maybe you do. Nope, you don't. Okay, so there's my container hover. And then, okay, so I have my style panels on, and I say, all right, on hover, I want the background color to be red, right? Now it's hovering red. I didn't write any CSS for that. I created a selector called my container hover, and I set the background color to red. That's it. You don't have to write CSS. You see me write CSS. This is gonna be one of my biggest challenges. I like to write CSS. I'm gonna write CSS. People are then going to conclude you have to write CSS. You don't have to write CSS to use Etch. You can absolutely use style panels just like any other tool, okay? And you get the benefit of them syncing back and forth. Look, green, okay? Green, right there, green. Blue, blue, right? They sync. Well, something else another tool doesn't do. 7 months. It's when this is gonna be, it is a, I don't know why people didn't believe me when I said there is a new era of how we work. It is the tool does not do the things other tools do. It does all their shit, but then it does way more. And it does it way better. It is literally a different era of how work gets done in WordPress. Then you combine in the ability, boom, boom, have all your content management right here. You're going to be able to create custom columns, sort the columns, show your custom field data right here, edit it inline, bulk add posts, bulk add pages, create custom post types, create custom field groups, do all of the mappings, do everything right here. You haven't even left the page you're currently working in. It's just an overlay. Oh, now I'm doing this. Now I'm back to the page I was working in. Now I'm doing this. Now I'm back to the page I was working in. Oh, I got to manage my selectors and styles. Okay, I'm doing that. Ah, now I'm back to the page I was working in. Got to manage my templates. Okay, which one do you want to go to? Oh, you want to create new ones? Look. Check this out. When you go to Content Hub and you create new, okay, we'll just say new, public, save, templates. Okay, let me save this here. We have to make it so you don't have to reload. Look at this. Look what's sitting right here. Oh, would you like to create a new template for that? Yeah, I actually would. Okay, would you like to edit it? Yeah, I actually would. Okay, now I'm done editing. Would you like to go back? Yeah, I'd like to be back there. You're just instantly everywhere you need to be. No delay, no drama, no this, no that. I want to be there. Okay, you're there. I want to do that thing. Okay, you're doing that thing. And then when you add Command K in here and you do everything you want to do with Command K, if you're a keyboard warrior, right? You're going to be able to do all that. It's just phenomenal speed. One of the big goals of Etch is not how can we make it, we're not saying how can we make it more technical? How can we make it more codey? How can we make it more, we're literally saying how can you build your projects at light speed? Because you compare, my end result, the best possible end result is Etch versus Elementor. You take somebody who is an expert at Elementor, and they're just flying through, doing all their bullshit, okay? And then you've got an Etch person, and the Etch person's kind of flying through. Damn, they're making real good progress. But the difference is the outcomes are completely different. Where the Etch outcome, which essentially happens in the same amount of time, is BIMmed, scalable, maintainable, properly content architected, properly managed. Everything is done and there's no limitations, and you've actually done more advanced things than you were able to do in Element. The time is essentially the same. The product and the outcome of what you've created couldn't be further apart. Different universes in terms of scalability, maintainability, accessibility. Because what people always objected to is they always said, I don't have time. Nobody's paying me to make it more scalable. They're not paying me. I'm doing these budget websites. Well, now, as long as you just know what you're doing, the tool does, the things are so fast in the tool to create a component. Boom, done. Map the props. Boom, done. Create custom fields. Create a custom post type. Boom, done. Okay? That happens so quickly that you're essentially getting to the same speed of development, same time is money, same time, but you've done everything right. Where Elements are right now, in order to get the speed benefit, you have to cut all the corners. All the corners get cut. No components, no custom post types, no loops, no logic, no nothing. Just static it up, just race. And you end up with dog shit. That's what you end up with. Etch should empower you to move that fast, essentially, but doing everything right. That's the goal. And the code is not there to be more codey. The code is there because when you know how to use it, it makes things way faster, especially in the era of AI, especially when you can copy paste, especially when you're pattern sharing, especially. There is a bigger picture that people must stop and work to understand. Otherwise, they are going to get passed up at light speed. All right, I'm out. I got to get out of here. We could talk about this all day. We go to WordCamp. You get me some drinks. We will have the best 6 hours of conversation imaginable, and we'll all have a ton of fun. That's why I like to go to these events. I can literally talk about this stuff all day. Okay? I'm out. Peace. Love you guys. Drop some comments. Drop some likes. I'll see you soon.